Armored Core 6 is finally here, and as someone new to the franchise, I was not sure what to expect. But after 100% the game, getting every achievement, weapon, collectible, and S rank in every mission, I can provide my own opinions on the game. I'll try to keep this as spoiler free as possible with everything I've experienced and invested into the game. Some things are going to slip through the cracks, so be warned. First off, no, you don't have to have played any of the other Armored Core games before playing this game, but there's also no recap about the other games. You're just plopped into this game and expected to just go forward like other From Software games. The narrative complements this by placing you into the shoes of an unnamed mercenary under the servitude of another person named Handler Walter, who will provide you missions and serve as your handler for the rest of the game. You have no name, no identity, you don't even have a face. You're thrown into the planet of Rubicon and told to make enough money to buy back your life as your brain was fried. This is one of the terms used in the game that you won't understand unless you look it up, but they do provide enough details for you to understand what that means later on. The game doesn't elaborate on a lot of things, and it's up to you to figure it out through the game's dialogue. It's more or less a From Software feature and less about the 6 in the title, as even new IPs from the developer's catalog follow this ideal. Regardless, you're here to take advantage of a powerful resource known as Coral, but you have no registration. So the first mission has you take one from a fallen Armored Core pilot and use it to take missions from the warring corporations. They'll never work with someone who isn't registered, so this is a requirement. Once done, you'll take on missions for every side. You have no allegiance. Whoever pays and you choose to work for is your goal for a large portion of the game. The core idea of Armored Core 6 is finding something to live for outside from money and the next job, and thereby trying to discover who you are as a person, with your character eventually having to choose who you wish to side with. That will determine the fate of Rubicon and even your personal relationships. You'll meet characters, develop relationships, and eventually determine who lives and dies based on your actions. This leads to one of 3 endings, with the other 2 endings only available in New Game Plus and New Game Plus Plus. The narrative is well constructed, and it has that From Software flair where the most important details are hidden in optional collectibles such as combat logs and battle logs obtained by completing missions and defeating specific enemies hidden throughout the world, or collecting them from fallen pilots. That being said, the story isn't groundbreaking, but does enough to deliver an emotional attachment to certain characters, with the voice actors delivering exceptional performances to highlight their individual personalities, from highly devoted corporate soldiers to those fighting for what they believe is right, giving you a unique final boss fight based on one of the 3 endings that reflects your choices, making it a chef kiss of a finale. Personally speaking, I really liked Armored Core 6's narrative more than previous From Software games. Whereas Elden Ring's finale was more of a world-ending finale, I felt that Armored Core 6's was a lot more personal, even though it does follow some of those attributes. This was your story, and yeah, you decide the fate of an entire planet and sometimes the universe, but the relationships you developed during this journey were forged under life and death situations. Each friend you made and saved or helped you, even highlighting how they respected or cared for you in some way, even if that meant you were now on opposite sides. Call me emotional, but I love these more personalized stories. Even if your character says nothing throughout the game, your actions speak louder than any words could.
Hate to say it, but Rubicon still needs me. So, buddy, who needs you?
The first question I'm certain a lot of people are going to ask is whether Armored Core 6 is hard. Yes, it's a challenging game, but fair. Armored Core 6 requires a time investment, not significant, but enough to understand the systems at hand. The game provides an extensive tutorial once you complete the first stage that gives you all the knowledge from weapons, mobility, mech builds, and more to ensure that you understand all the basics. I'm probably going to get a lot of backlash for this, but Armored Core 6 is not a Souls-like and shouldn't be treated as one. It's a third-person action mech simulator. Yes, it does have some elements from a Souls-like a stamina meter in the way of an energy bar, but treating this game as a Souls-like will have you dealing with a lot of issues in the long run, whereas a game like Dark Souls, Bloodborne, and Elden Ring share certain aspects that can be used to aid the player and understand each of the other game's system depending on which one you choose first. Here you have to treat Armored Core 6 as if it was Sekiro, a completely different game with its own requirements, like a standalone IP. At the start, you have access to a basic Armored Core unit with nothing but the bare minimum requirements. As you complete missions, you'll gain access to the store and new components to change your mech. You can even customize every piece of equipment with unique color schemes to truly make it your own, including custom decals. But get accustomed to the garage and the training field because you're going to spend a lot of time here. You can look up a guide and find out what the best build is, but that would be a disservice. Crafting your perfect mech is going to take a lot of trial and error. You cannot just suit up with the most powerful weapons and armor. Everything has a certain weight limit and energy requirement to be used. Heavy weapons pack a huge punch but require heavy support in the way of large armored legs or a tread system. Your legs determine your mobility, with larger options limiting your movement options, alongside a generator that determines how fast your energy recharges and depletes. Weapons also range from different reloading speeds, rate of fire, speed of projectile, weapon prep and speed, alternate fire, and damage based on status. The core system of Armored Core 6 is fast-paced third-person combat. Enemies are automatically targeted through the game's manual or automatic lock-on system. The manual system allows for quicker movement but doesn't keep track of the enemy, whereas the automatic option reduces movement freedom in exchange for constantly keeping the target on screen. The on-screen hub displays all the information regarding your weapon's reloading and overheating timer. You do have access to a dodge, but there is no invincibility frame, so plan accordingly. Mass dodging won't do you any favors, but make you vulnerable when your battery depletes. An assault boost is an incredible option used not only for exploration to traverse large spaces, but in combat as well. When active, any damage done increases as you hurtle towards the enemy. You can dodge left and right using the assault boost, but at a cost of a chunk of your energy, making the assault boost an incredible option but also needs to be managed strictly. The other tool is a scanner. Honestly, I rarely use this in the game unless I was unable to locate key objectives. It's meant to highlight enemy positions and ambushes, but I played very aggressively, so I rarely used this option. It might be useful to others, but personally it was just there as a side option in case I really needed it. Most of the items available can be purchased from the store, with others being available by getting collectibles and defeating certain bosses. And if you don't like it, you can resell the same part for the same price you purchased it. The trade-off is that when you die during a mission, you can swap parts, but only from the catalog of your purchased parts. You cannot buy items mid-mission. The other items are obtained, like I said, through hidden chests, boss fights, and completing certain missions. Regardless of which item you choose, everything is a viable option and comes down to preference. You can't save a multitude of mech options for quick selection outside of missions if you like playing with different builds. Best of all, during the training room, you can immediately swap out parts without exiting the mode, allowing for instant understanding of how each of these parts work over others. There is no leveling system in Armored Core 6. Instead, your primary option for increasing your overall stats is the OS system. Eventually, players will unlock chips by completing arena fights, unlocked by completing missions. These are virtual one-on-one fights against Armored Core pilots you'll encounter during the course of the game, serving as a great practice for future encounters. The chips you unlock through these fights can increase your damage, lower received damage, unlock new skills, increase healing, and so forth. Completing every arena fight will give you access to everything in the chipset, but during the process you can reset every upgrade for a fee. There are 59 missions in total in Armored Core 6, with certain missions locked behind New Game Plus and New Game Plus Plus. Missions are straightforward in how you complete them, with requirements such as destroying key targets, defeating AC pilots, and navigating complex arenas. Missions take around 5 to 15 minutes to complete and offer a diverse array of gameplay systems that complement the garage system. You'll need to play through Armored Core 6 at least 3 times to see everything. Unlike previous From Software games, New Game Plus doesn't change the enemy statistics. Instead, it alters certain missions. The developers highlight this with a branching path symbol before heading into a mission, but even so, sometimes the same mission will have slight changes to ensure things are kept fresh. I think this is the best way to handle New Game Plus. Yeah, you are much more powerful in terms of experience and weaponry, but at the same time it provides enough curveballs that you have to keep alert, as anything can still destroy you, allowing players to re-experience the game with an entirely new selection of items, but not enough to steamroll through the enemies. That being said, not all the missions are exciting affairs. Some are boring busy work, tedious in objectives, and sometimes just annoying, such as this mission where you have to escort a transport helicopter during a rescue operation while defending it from mass counterattacks, or this mission where you have to destroy transports en masse. Fortunately, these missions are just a drop in the barrel compared to the much more entertaining objectives. Most players will grow accustomed to a certain AC, but the game encourages experimentation. From Software is notorious for having a skill check boss fight, and Armored Core 6 is no different. Like Father Gascoigne from Bloodborne, Armored Core 6's skill check boss is Baltheus. Until this fight, I was using mostly the default AC given to me at the beginning of the game. It was here that I had to change tactics and instead use a variety of options that eventually led to my success, learning about pulse shielding, staggering, direct damage, and boss phases. Staggering works both ways though. Your AC has a meter that fills up during combat, and once full, you'll instantly stop and take extra damage during this duration. This ensures you cannot just charge forward without a plan. Learning the enemy patterns and equipment is essential. The game rewards you with money based on your performance, damage taken, and ammo used during the entire mission. I never ran into a situation where I lost money, even when I exhausted almost all my supplies. I saw in the original through Josh Strife Hayes' video that in Armored Core they would usually be a lot more strict about these types of systems, but it seems with this 6th installment they decided to ease up on it, but provide the other option that S-rank players will need to adhere to certain principles in order to try and achieve the highest rank, such as managing not only damage but ammo count and minimizing penalties. This doesn't mean that Armored Core 6 will essentially break you down with harder options. The game sometimes provides relief in the way of resupplying crates during certain missions, allies during very difficult boss fights, and even checkpoints. Those who wish to S-rank those missions will have to refuse to use these advantages in some degree. For example, you have to beat an entire mission while dying in order to receive an S-rank, while also managing ammo and damage taken, as I stated earlier before, but these safety nets are mostly for players who just want to experience the game casually. Boss fights are some of From Software's biggest draws, and Armored Core 6 doesn't disappoint. Most of the fights are against other AC pilots, but they do give that rush of adrenaline. Each one offers unique fights in different arenas, with the player able to determine their fighting style based on their AC and the weapon loadout thanks to incredible details made to each part. The unique fights against different types of enemies are more stagnant compared to the AC fights, but I did wish the developers provided more of these than the AC fights, while fun were overabundant, especially in the arena. So you're going to fight a lot of Armored Core pilots, and I just really wish they had a little more variety about the more unique fights that you could have encountered. Now, I played this on the Xbox, so I can only speak for this platform. Armored Core 6 performs exceptionally well for a AAA game. I know the AAA industry is kind of a joke when it comes to stability, but From Software is one of those companies that still takes pride in what they deliver. I did wish you could make the subtitles a little bigger, but that's just a personal preference. The game never crashed on me, but the loading times can be inconsistent. There were like maybe a handful of times where the loads became so large that I thought the game crashed, but fortunately, the game never crashed once on me. There were no dips in the frame rate when I played on performance mode, and I never encountered a single problem during my multiple playthroughs of the game. I'm sure there's probably a glitch video up there, but I was completely alright with my overall experience of the game. I played through the game 3 times to get all the endings. I also played through the arena multiple times because I wanted to grind for money to get everything. So there were no issues that I experienced during my, I would say, 30 hours of playing this game. Now, Armored Core 6 does feature multiplayer, either 1-on-1 or 3-on-3 matches, and they're pretty great. They're exciting affairs where you get to show off your Armored Core and fight against other pilots, but there's no progression system, and it's very bare bones. It's just there for a supplement feature. I really think From Software should really expand on their multiplayer features. They are very exciting, and I feel like if they added like co-op missions with other players, or just embrace the multiplayer sphere a little more heavily than just having these single servant experiences, it would definitely expand to something great. There's a lot of potential here. It just needs a really good progression system or some sort of hook to keep players engaged, because after a couple of matches I didn't really see the point of continuing forward. It was fun, but without some sort of progression system, it instantly dies off. Okay, what did I really hate about Armored Core 6? The first thing is you only have one save slot. I still do not understand why From Software only gives you one save slot. I remember back when Metal Gear Survive came out, everyone rightfully complained, why do I have to pay for more than one save slot? Here, you don't even get the option. I get you can use cloud save options for premium memberships on PlayStation and Xbox, including external saves if you're on PC, but still, you should have access to more than one save slot. Yeah, you can experience all the missions while starting a new game, but this is unacceptable. You should have more than one save slot if a player wishes to restart the game from a fresh slot. Especially if you have friends or family who want to play on the same system. They're going to have to create a brand new profile in order to experience the game, unless you want them to erase your save slot or play on yours. Again, I don't understand this. Next is that you do not get a rating for completing missions during story mode. Why the hell not? The missions do not change the mission anyway. You played the mission the same way as if you were playing it in the story mode, so why don't I get a rating after I complete it if I choose to play it through the story option? If I perform well and get an S rank while playing through normal progression, then I should get it regardless if it's done through the narrative or the replay story option. This is just like tedious busy work that just artificially extends the game. Every mission that I knew I should have gotten an S rank on, I had to redo for a second or third time because, again, it doesn't count during the story progression. I don't get why. Like, this was just needlessly padding out the game for no reason. Now, this is only going to annoy completionists like myself, but you have to play through the entire level to keep the chest and any collectibles that you gather from the level. Look, I can understand for weapons and equipment you have to play through the level. That I understand. But why can't I quit out after I get a specific battle log or combat log? Why do I have to play through the entire level again in order to keep these collectibles? It would be such a huge quality of life improvement that would have gone a long way. If I gathered a collectible, I can instantly quit out and keep the collectible. I shouldn't have to play through an entire 10-minute mission just to keep it. Like, come on, seriously, this is unacceptable. We're in 2023. Like, come on. Despite the major issues I just listed, Armored Core 6 is exceptional, especially as someone who is new to the franchise like myself. This is my first Armored Core game, and I am now part of the fan base. If you're interested in large mech combat and a realistic narrative about purpose and fighting what you believe in, this is the game for you. Don't come into this expecting similar mechanics or systems like a Souls-like. Treat this as its own game, a mech simulator. It's a challenging experience that demands you respect its systems if you wish to triumph. And the story does a great job of building camaraderie through actions, only for reality to come crashing down. The sad reality is that some decisions you make will hurt those you care for, but you have to take certain actions in order to do what you believe is right. As you climb the arena ladder, smash through ACs, and determine the fate of an entire planet and maybe the universe, these are your decisions to make, and sometimes the people closest to you, the people who were there for you from the beginning, have to be pushed aside for you to accomplish that. Regardless, Armored Core 6 is exceptional, and I highly recommend it to everyone.
Here on Rubicon.